it is clear that the COVID-19 pandemic has affected many areas of our research, such as suspension of animal trials and converting to online teaching. We here like to present the results of our survey on how the pandemic has influenced the work and work experience of animal behavior and welfare researchers. The motive for this study was the news that female researchers may be more affected by the pandemic than men. Media and initial studies showed that female researchers submitted less manuscripts than men during the first months of the pandemic. As our field of animal behavior and welfare has mostly female researchers, as shown in this figure of ISAE membership, the concern arose for how women, but also our research field as a whole, would be affected in the long term. The aim of the study was to assess the impact of the pandemic on researchers' work experience and productivity, looking at both men and women. A second objective was to look how certain groups were coping as compared to others, especially women, parents, and those with a lot of teaching hours. We received 117 responses from 28 countries across the world. The survey included established skills for stress and social support. The results showed a high level of stress as compared to the established reference value of 13. The average value here is 21, and low social support levels. Not surprisingly, researchers work many hours, but during the pandemic this further increased for another 25% of the respondents. 55% was less able to work on grants and publications during the pandemic, with 14% indicating to have no time at all for it. However, 45% did have more time to write grant proposals and publications. 57% experienced working from home as negative for their productivity. Again, around 40% did experience it as positive for their productivity. For the vast majority, care commitments, such as child care, negatively influenced their ability to work. However, almost all felt really competent in using online tools, such as those for online meetings. To the question on whether they would like to prefer to remain working from home, the responses were really divided. From the open answers, it became clear that there is fear and uncertainty about the career perspectives, and that some are uncertain in what the employer expects from them during these times. We then looked at what may explain the differences between these quite contrasting experiences. Respondents reflected the sample population quite well, with a majority of women. Higher levels of perceived stress were indicated by those who experienced less benefits from the home office working, and by PhD students and early career researchers as compared to established researchers, as is shown here in the figure on the right. The blue line gives the reference value of 13. Stress was also higher in those with higher teaching load or more teaching hours. Social support was lower in older researchers and tended to be lower for those who worked fewer hours per week. Women without care role perceived significantly more benefits of working from home as compared to those with children and men. However, most respondents did believe that female researchers face more challenges during the pandemic than male researchers. This survey, however, suggests that difficulties during the pandemic are more related to care role than to gender per se. The main conclusion for this short presentation is that we would really like to urge funders, supervisors, colleagues and so on to please be considerate of the stark contrast in experiences, and that around 50% may need support or even professional support. Therefore, adjust research targets to what is feasible for the personal circumstances, and thereby especially taking into account those with care roles, such as having children, and for PhD students. We would really like to thank all those who provided their answers in the survey, and especially for the open answers, as these will be of great value in the qualitative analysis. We hope to publish the results soon in this year's ISAE special issue. Last but not least, we'd like to say stay safe everyone, and thank you for listening.